Good evening, Rahul sir. Good evening, Jenny. Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Rahul.
Good evening, everyone.
Pranam, Dr. Rahul.
Ma'am. Good evening, Dr. Rahul.
ಆಯಿಲ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ವಾಸಿ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರಲ್ಲ ಫುಲ್ ವಾಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ನೋಡಿ ನೀರು ಅನ್ನದ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಏನು
Shall we start? Anyone for translation?
Okay, I'm here, Dr. Rahul.
Good evening. Rahul sir, can I ask one question? Yes. Yesterday, one patient, female patient, came to me. She said she having the low back pain when standing, but there is no radiation in the lower legs. Just she having upper back pain and like a quadratus lumborum also she having pain acute since 2 years, but no neurological pain. Okay, that's a good thing. And whenever she is standing, she's having pain. No, sorry, whenever she's sitting, she's having pain. Whenever standing, is no pain. Okay. She's having two children with vaginal delivery. So, what about the core muscles? Core muscles are weak, sir. Work on that. Especially. So, shall I treat the local points also? Only Blessings Club is enough. Not required. Yeah, only treat core muscles with brain stimulation. That would be sufficient. If you. Another thing regarding that stroke patient, I am treating this is today is the third day. The only sir what hip extensors are only strong, sir. No, I am not getting the quadriceps other. Okay. Good afternoon, sir. So work open the diaphragm first, then the power in the limbs will come. Diaphragm. Yes. Sir, needling anterior posterior also for diaphragm or posterior to anterior? We have done that. It is AP at T8 level. Okay, sir, inshallah. Oblique AP T8 level. Okay, sir, right? Okay, if you still find any difficulties, may ask. No problem. Okay, sir, thank you. Translation, who is for translation?
Okay, I'm here.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
ಇದು ಓಯ್ ಅದೆರಡು ನಮ್ದು ಕುಂಕುಮ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ಕೊಡಿ ನಂಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ
Good evening, sir.
ಈ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನಾನು ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹಾಕ್ತೀನಿ
So this is
ಬೇಗ ಬೇಗ ಬನ್ನಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಬರೆಯಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೋಡಿ ನೀನು
yeah, so this is the side view. We are going to start the class. So
This is the side view of different structures of the cervical, thoracic, lumbar, and the sacral. So if you observe that, what are all the differentiation in between these levels? Good evening. So if we see that, what are the differentiation of all these vertebrae at the different level? So if we observe that this is the small hole which is present in the cervical vertebra. So this hole is called as the foramen, and this foramen is for the vertebral arteries. So this is present only in the cervical vertebrae. Okay, this is one of the differentiation. And at the thoracic level, there is a specific facet. On the transverse process, there are specific facet. So these are for the attachment of the ribs. So this is for the thoracic level. And in the lumbar region, there is a broader facet joints. There are broader facet joint. In blue, you can say in the bluish color. So these are all the differences. Okay. So in this bluish color which you are seeing, so these are all the differences which are present in the different vertebrae. And also in the sacrum. So it is a fan shaped. So it is called as a sacral hiatus. So this is attachment with the sacroiliac bone. So it forms the sacroiliac joint. So these are all the differentiation of all the four vertebrae.
Sorry, can you repeat the last?
Yeah, I'll repeat. I'll first demonstrate, then I'll repeat. Just give me a second. Let me take out the vertebrae. Just give me. Okay. So if we see in the cervical vertebra, so this small holes which are present, these, okay, these holes, these are called as the vertebral foramen. Okay, so these are for the vertebral arteries, right? And in the thoracic one, so this is the long pointed downward. So this spinous process is long pointed downward. So this is the thoracic vertebra. This is also the thoracic vertebra. So in that, when we see the transverse processes, these are the transverse processes. So when we see the transverse processes, there is some joint space. So this is for the facet. This is for the costal joints. That means the ribs are attached on these. These are the ribs. So these ribs are attached here, like this. Okay. So ribs goes like this. Okay. So these vertebrae. This is the thoracic vertebra. So its spinous process is pointed downward, and these are the facet. And in the transverse processes, these are the transverse processes. On these transverse processes, there is a small joint, where space for the joint. So these are for the attachment for the ribs. Okay, for forming the rib cage. Okay, and in the lumbar vertebra, there are broad facets. So they have broad facet joint. These are the space for the facets. These are space for the facets. They have broad facet joints. Whereas in the sacrum, there is sacral hiatus. So this is the sacral hiatus. This is for the attachment of the joint for the sacroiliac. This forms the sacroiliac joint. That means between the sacrum and the ilium. So this is the ilium bone. Between the sacrum and the ilium, it forms the sacroiliac joint, like this. Okay. So these are the differences in between all the vertebrae. Yeah, Mika, I'm taking one by one. Now you may translate.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the first one. Yeah, we'll go one by one. Okay. So this is the cervical vertebra. So we are seeing what all structural differences are there in the different vertebrae. So this is the cervical vertebra. In this we have a hole. So this hole is the foramen. So these are for the vertebral arteries. Yeah, please translate.
Nah, jadi kita sekarang melihat perbedaan antara tulang servikal, torasik, dan lumbar. Kita mulai dengan servikal. Nanti dalam servikal itu ada lubang yang kecil itu tuh untuk tempat arteri ya. Jadi yang kecil itu untuk sekali lagi vertebral arteri. Dan ini hanya ada pada servikal, di tempat yang lain tidak ada. Okay.
This is the cervical vertebra, right?
Ya, tulang servikal.
The body is small and the foramen is large.
Jadi bodinya itu kecil, foramennya malah besar.
Okay. So this one is the thoracic vertebra. This one. So this is the thoracic vertebra. Okay. The differentiation is the spinous processes are pointed downward.
Jadi bedanya
pointed downward.
Jadi kelihatan bedanya ya, spinous processesnya itu arahnya ke bawah.
In the cervical, spinous processes are straight. They are projected downward.
Yang cervical tadi lurus, kalau ini ke bawah ya. Okay. Downward means bawah.
Yeah. And the main differentiation for the thoracic is that it contains a joint space. So this joint, it forms with the rib. So these are the costal joints. Costal is for the ribs. So this forms the joint space for the ribs. So these are the transverse processes. Okay, these transverse processes forms the joint for the ribs.
Jadi tadi kita lihat transverse processesnya itu menghasilkan tempat untuk melekatnya tulang iga untuk rib, nempel begitu. Ya.
Now next is the lumbar vertebra. So it has large facet joints. These are the facet space for the facet joint. These are the large facet joints.
Jadi kalau dibandingkan dengan tadi yang thoracic, maka yang lumbar tuh lebih besar tempat untuk facet jointnya lebih besar dibandingkan dengan tadi thoracic ya, lebih lebar.
And you can differentiate, you can see the difference between the cervical and the lumbar. So these lumbar are very large in size comparative to cervical one.
Jadi ukurannya pun jauh beda.
The body
yang
is larger in size.
Jadi yang lumbar itu badinya jauh lebih besar dibandingkan dengan ukuran badi pada cervical. Ya.
Okay. And next is the sacrum. So this is the sacrum and this is the sacral hiatus. So it forms the joint with the ilium. So this is ilium. So this is the SI joint which we see from the back. So this is the dimple which comes in the back. The dimple in the back is at the level of the SI joint. So this is the SI joint.
Jadi kalau sacrum itu dia bersatu dengan SI, sacroiliac joint. Kita tadi lihat persatuannya itu ada lubang tuh. Nah itu, yang lubang itu iya. Dia bersatu antara sacrum dengan sacroiliac.
Okay, is this clear? Any doubt in this? Shall we move forward? Okay, perfect. now we have seen that the vertebral body. So these are the parts of the different vertebrae, different parts of the vertebra. Right? We have body. Then we have anterior longitudinal ligament on the anterior side. I'll just demonstrate around the ligaments. Right? Anterior longitudinal ligament on the anterior side, posterior longitudinal on the posterior side, and vesicular foraminas. So on the anterior side, we see on the anterior side, like this is the area for the cervical region, right? So on the anterior side, we have anterior longitudinal ligaments, right? On the anterior side of the body. So this is the posterior side. These are the spinous processes. Okay. So these are the areas which we feel with our hand. The most prominent structure on the spine which we feel with our hand is the spinous processes. So these are the posterior side, that means the back side, and these are the front side. So when there comes in the front side, so this is the anterior side and this is the posterior. Anterior means front, posterior means back. On the anterior side, it is covered by anterior longitudinal ligament. And on the lateral side, they have lateral longitudinal ligaments. And on the posterior side, posterior means this side. On the posterior side, they have posterior longitudinal ligament. Okay, anterior means front, lateral means side, and posterior means back. Ya, Nika.
Jadi tadi kita lihat di bagian depan itu anterior. Dalam bagian depan ada anterior longitudinal ligament. Itu di bagian depan anterior. Di bagian belakang ada posterior longitudinal ligament. Posterior ya. Lalu ada satunya lagi lateral. Ya. Sebuah beda-beda. Jadi yang ya. Jadi beda-beda, kita harus lihat apakah itu anterior, apakah itu posterior, atau itu lateral side. Beda-beda ligamennya. Herman, want to translate, sir?
Okay, thank you. So, we know about the parts of the vertebra. So, this is the body. This is spinous process. So, these are transverse process. And these are vertebral foramen, spinal foramen, and these are pedicles, and these are facets. These are facets. These are transverse process. This is body. This is spinous process, and the joint is the pedicle. Okay, body, facets, transverse, spinous, and pedicle. Okay. Any doubt in this? Yeah, Herman, please translate.
Oke, seperti yang kita ketahui, yang dipegang oleh Dr. Lahir itu adalah tubuh dari vertebra. Tubuh vertebra yang panjang itu yang dipegang itu adalah spinal process, sedangkan yang itu adalah transverse process. Nah, kalau itu facet. Oke, facet. Nah, sedangkan yang bulat itu foramen yang lubangnya yang dilalui spinal cord, sedangkan pedicles itu yang dilalui oleh saraf nerve root.
Body with this. Yeah.
Dan dia juga
from here the nerve roots are.
Oke, dari situ dari lubang kecil itu nerve rootnya keluar. Over.
Thank you. And in between the two vertebrae, the discs are present, right? In between the two vertebrae, the discs are present. And if we observe this is the articulation. Articulation is these two vertebrae, one vertebra with the other vertebra forms a joint. So in between these two bodies, there is a disc. Okay, so discs are presented in between the two vertebrae. Like in this case, we see so in between these two, the discs are present, right? These are body. So in between the two bodies, the discs are present. Okay, the discs are here. So whenever there is some compression, so whenever there is some compression and the nerve roots are coming from here. Okay, nerve roots are coming from here. So whenever there is some discompression, so if we see here, these are the body. In between the disc is present. If the disc moves towards the back, that means there is a posterior disc bulge. So it causes compression on the spine. So if we see from here, so through this foramen, this is moving out. So it moves out. So from in between this, the spinal cord is going. Whenever there is this move out, disc bulge or this posterior disc bulge, so as you can see, the finger is moving into the foramen. So this is the disc. Okay. So whenever there is disc bulge, so disc move, although it remains in the within the body with the annular fibrosis and all the ligaments which are supporting. So whenever there is disc bulge, it moves into the towards the spine, towards the back side, either towards the back side or towards the lateral side. Okay, either the disc moves like this, so it causes compression towards the spinal cord, and this causes the radiating pain, or it moves towards the lateral side, or it moves towards the lateral side. That means it compresses the nerve root. So if we make the nerve root here, like when the disc moves out, when the disc moves out towards the lateral side, so it causes compression on the nerve root, which causes the pain, radiculopathy pain, either the cervical or the lumbar. Okay, so this remain within the bodies, but whenever there is any compression or a disc bulge, so it moves like this, right? So within the foramen, you can see it moves from here, from that is the posterior or the lateral. So two way the disc moves out. So then it causes the compression on the nerve root. Aman, please translate.
Oke, yang tadi seperti yang kita ketahui bahwa disk itu terdapat di antara dua vertebra. Kalau terjadi kompresi antara dua vertebra, maka dia akan menekan disk. Jadi disk yang ditekan itu dia bisa ke belakang, artinya dia akan menekan tulang belakang atau spinal cord. Kalau ke samping atau ke lateral, dia akan menekan nerve root. Nah, keduanya bisa menyebabkan nyeri. Kalau dia menekan nerve root, biasanya dia akan menyebabkan
Radiculopathy.
Radiculopathy. Okay, over, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Any doubt in this? Okay, shall we move forward then? So the movement between the spine, so it is supported by the various ligaments. Although when we press one vertebra over the other vertebra, there is a very marginal movement and there is a joint play. So it is a few mm. So until the few mm, the vertebra moves down and then it come back to its original position. So that is the, we call it as a normal joint play. But if there is some restriction, then this joint play, free flowing of the vertebra, one vertebra over the other vertebra will not be there. That means, like in case of cervical vertebra, when we press the one vertebra over the other vertebra, so let us say that this is the normal joint play. So it is allowed by the various ligaments and the muscles, mainly the ligaments, which restrict the further, you can say, it restricts the movement of the spine. So this is the movement which is maximum there. When we are pressing the anterior posteriorly, PA, when we are pressing the posterior anteriorly, or we are pressing on the side to side, that means at the transverse processes. So there is very marginal movement, that is within the it goes back and it comes back to its original position, goes back, come back to its original position. In this way there is a joint play. So in this way there is a joint play. Okay, either to the posterior anterior, when we press it from here, it moves and it comes back. It moves and it comes back. When we press, it moves, come back. So similar way on the sides, when we press transverse process, it moves and come back. Sides, when we press and it moves, come back. So this is called as the joint play. So this is allowed by the various ligaments and the structure around the spine. So whenever there is some restriction, okay, so when we are pressing and it is not moving, when we are pressing and it is not moving, that means there is some restriction around the joint of the spine, and that is also sometimes the reason for the compression of the nerve. Yeah, Arman, please translate.
Oke, untuk vertebra yang normal, ketika kita menekan ke bawah, yaitu kita tekan posterior, anterior ke bawah, dia akan bergeser sekitar beberapa milimeter. Itu adalah normal. Dalam kasus cervical, seperti pada video yang ditunjukkan Mr. Lahul, ketika kita menggeser vertebranya dari transverse process, nah dia vertebranya bisa bergeser ke samping, tapi dia hanya beberapa dan dia akan kembali ke posisi semula. Begitu juga dengan ketika kita menekan posterior anterior, dia akan kembali ke posisi semula, itu disebut normal. Dan daerah geser itu disebut juga dengan daerah joint. Nah, apabila ketika kita menekan dan dia tidak bergerak, vertebra itu tidak bergerak, berarti ada pembatas atau restriksi, batasan atau restriksi yang menghalangi gerakan pada vertebra tersebut.
Any doubts so far?
Dr. Rahul, can you please repeat about the restriction in the joint play?
Yes. Normally, what happens is, now if you palpate the spinous process, the most prominent structure on the spine, these are the spinous processes, right? So when we press the spine, like if this is a dummy, so when we press at C7, the vertebra will go in and then it will come out. It will go in and then will come out, come back to its original position. That we can feel it with the thumb, right? Similar way at all the levels. There is a normal joint play. So when we press at this level, it will go in and it will come back. It will go in and it will come back. Go in and come back. So there is a normal joint play in the joints of the spine. But when we are pressing and it is not moving at all, it is not going in, okay, so that means there is some stiffness around these structures, around the structures of the spine. Due to the stiffness around the structure of spine, there is no free movement in the joint, so that we called it as a restricted joint movement. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
There are facets joint, which are present that we have seen. So here you can see the structure of the vertebra with the spinal cord. So on the right hand side in the pictures, you can see it is the structure of vertebra with the spinal cord in situ. That means spinal cord in this. So this is the space which we have seen for the spinal foramen. So this is the space where all the spinal cord and the covering with the meninges are present. So in the center, you will see the spinal cord and it is covered by all the meninges. Since spinal cord has the flow of the CSF that is attached to the brain, so it is covered by all the meninges. So innermost is the pyometer, then arachnoid, and then durameter. Okay, so we make a mnemonic of this as a pad from inside to outside. So pyometer, arachnoid, and durameter. Okay, so in between this there is a subarachnoid space. Okay, so in between this there is a subarachnoid space. That means in between the two meninges, right? In between two meninges there is a space. That means under the arachnoid there is subarachnoid space, under the dura there is subdural space, and under the epidural there is a epidural space. Okay, so there are all the spaces. These are very attached very near to each other. And on the below one you can see the spinal cord in the center. So it has dorsal horn, ventral horn, lateral horn. Okay, that, or we call it as anterior, posterior, and lateral horn. So it is the gray matter basically, right? And they have funiculus. Funiculus is anterior, lateral, and posterior, similar way. So like as you know that the spinal cord is the extension of the brain, right? So similarly it has the gray matter and the white matter. So gray matter is present in the center and white matter are present all around. Okay, so this is the extension of the brain. So it has the gray matter and the white matter, right? So now you know that gray matter has the bodies of the neuron and the white matter has the axons and the dendrites of the neurons. So from this the different nerve roots are coming. Okay, so from here it joins from the both sides, the nerves and the with the arteries, veins and all. So it joins to form the, from the dorsal root ganglion, it joins to form the nerve root. So the extensions which are seeing on the both sides, so these are the nerve roots. So these are the nerve roots. Okay. Any doubt in this? Is this clear?
Dr. Rahul, so when we needle, exactly which point we needle at?
We needle around the nerve root area, like the lumbar. So these are the lumbar vertebrae, right? So when we have to first mark the spinous processes, okay, we have to first mark the spinous processes in the body, and after marking the spinous process we have to mark the intervertebral space, or we can directly mark the intervertebral space. After marking the intervertebral space, we go just one finger lateral. We go one finger lateral to the spinous process. Okay, and in the one finger lateral to the spinous process, so there is the area where underneath the structure the nerve roots are coming from. That means, so this is the area. This is the area. So this is the area where the nerve root is coming from, right? So here is the exit of the nerve root. So we will reach until here, and just adjacent to this one finger, just take one finger gap. So now when we are taking one finger gap, just adjacent to this we have to put the needle around this area. So we are in the paraspinal region, but we are not touching the nerve root. This nerve root are going from here. We are not touching the nerve root, we are near the nerve root. Okay, and yesterday we have seen that the effect of these paraspinal muscles, when we do anything or any stimulation in the paraspinal muscle, the impact would be in the middle and the posterior, middle and the anterior column. Okay, so these are the three column. This is posterior, this is posterior, so this is middle, and this is anterior. So these are the three column: posterior, middle, and anterior. Posterior, sorry, middle, and the anterior. So when we do simulation in the paraspinal region, so it creates the impact around this area. That means it relieves the compression around this area for the nerve root compression. So in this way, we can relieve the nerve root compression from the spine.
Yes, this is clear, but can you show where this corresponds to on the diagram that you just showed, please?
On the
diagram just now?
Just now, okay. So that is basically for the spinal cord. So this is the spinal cord. In the center, what you are seeing is the spinal cord. Okay.
Yes, the lower diagram.
Yeah. See, through this, these are the foramen for the spinal cord. This is the area where the spinal cord is going from. Okay, this is the area for the spinal cord. So from here, on the sides, the different nerve roots are coming like this from the spinal cord. Both sides, they are coming. Okay, so in the center there is spinal cord. From the spinal cord, the two extensions are coming. So these two extensions are the nerve roots. Okay. Now again see the diagram, then it would be clearer. Just first see the first diagram. Okay, so this is the foramen, right, in the center. From there, the two extensions are coming, right? So they have made similar way. Now they have changed the position to in the standing position. So this is another view. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, yes, sir. But on the bottom diagram, exactly where does the needle go? Can you just pinpoint the location?
Yes. Now, when we needle, so if this is the nerve root, so if this is the nerve root, needle will go until here, until from here needle is coming in the intervertebral space and it goes until here. Okay, from here posterior column of this. Okay, so that is why we use only 1 or maximum 1.5 inch needle, not more than that, so that it should not reach the nerve root, it not pierce the nerve root.
Okay, thank you. Now it's clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Any doubt so far?
How will the needle relieve the compression and the canal stenosis for that, Dr. Rahul?
Yes. As yesterday we have seen that mostly the whatever compression around the nerve root is because of the structures around the spine, right? So when we study the structures around the spine, specifically the ligaments on all these paraspinal muscles, as we have already done, so these muscles goes into the spasm, right? Whenever there is disc bulge, okay, because of the disc bulge, the certain structures around the spine, that means the paraspinal muscles particularly, this goes into the spasm. Okay, so this spasm creates the pressure around the nerve root. Whenever there is the disc bulge, there is a spasm around this area, particularly the paraspinal muscles. So this spasm, whenever there is a spasm, so this, although there is like let us say, although there is this much space for the nerve root, right, but whenever there is a spasm, so the bones comes into the approximation, right? Normally if the space is like this, but whenever there is spasm, the bones comes into the approximation, right? So this causes the compression of the nerve root or the irritation of the nerve root. Since we have certain meninges and all the things around this area, so whenever there is slight compression or because of this, it causes the irritation around this area, and this causes the compression. Okay, so once we relieve the spasm, so it creates the space for the nerve root. Once we relieve the spasm of the paraspinal muscle, it relaxes the bone and it creates the space for the nerve root. So in this way, we can relieve the pressure from the nerve root. Okay, is this clear?
Thank you, Dr.
Yes, Cindy. Dr. Cindy, do you want to ask anything?
Yeah, thank you. And it will also relieve the canal stenosis.
Yes, this is also the same for the canal stenosis.
So that's the power of a tiny needle.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
That's good
Yeah.
to see here. Thank you, Dr. Rahul.
Thank you. Now, we'll discuss, see, first the nerve root thing is clear how we have to do. We'll tell about the direction and all, but first try to understand the concept. Okay, just try to take the concept first. Now, the concept is clear.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll see how to treat for the disc bulge. Okay, just give me a second. Now see for the disc bulge, right? Let us suppose this is the disc. Okay, let us say this is a disc. Okay, just imagine that this is a disc. Okay, now, and this is the lumbar vertebra. This is real. You don't need to imagine this. This is real, and this is also real. So when in between the two vertebrae, so this disc is present, right? So in between the two vertebral body, this disc is present, right? And from here, the nerve root is exiting, right? So this is the normal physiology. So what happened in this? Now, when we have a disc bulge, so this disc will protrude slightly backward. Okay, this disc will protrude slightly into the foramen. So now you can see the disc is gone slightly into the foramen. Now if you see this is the spinal cord and this is the nerve root and this is the disc. Whenever there is disc bulge, so whenever there is disc bulge, now you can see it is compressing the orange structure. So this has moved slightly back and it is compressing the orange structure. So this would be the meninges and this would be the spinal cord. Okay, so whenever there is this bulge, so it compresses slightly on the spinal cord, specifically the meninges. So this irritation causes the you can say sometimes the inflammation around the nerve root, which causes the pain, the radiating pain. And sometimes this disc bulge moves towards the side. So now if it moves towards the side, then you can see it is completely compressing the nerve root. So when the disc is moved out towards the side, so it is compressed. Okay, so this is compressing the nerve. There is two possibilities of moving the disc. Anterior it is very rare, Mostly it is posterior or lateral. So when it moves posterior, so it moves like this, and when it moves side, it moves like this. These are the two possibilities. Is this clear? Any doubt in this? Clear? Shall we move forward?
Yes, sir.
Is this clear? So there are two possibilities. Either the disc will move.
I am not clear, but my signal
Okay. No problem. No problem. Just see here again. So this is the normal area. Okay. This is the normal situation, right? So we have vertebral bodies in between this. The disc is present in between the vertebral body. So, and there is clear foramen. That means it is thorough. There is hollow. Okay. Now, when the disc moves towards the back, okay, when the disc moves back, so then it compresses the spinal cord. As you can see, it is slightly protruding into the foramen, the white portion. The white portion you can see, we called it as a disc for now, for just imagine. And this you can see is the slightly compressing the spinal cord on the meninges. So whenever there is some please mute your mic. So whenever there is slight compression, so this causes the compression on the irritation of the nerve root and sometimes the inflammation, which causes the pain around the leg. Okay. And there is please mute your mic. And there is another possibility that it moves towards the side. That means it would compress the nerve root. So when the disc moves towards the side, Winnie, please
mute all the participants. I have removed this person to the waiting room. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. So when the disc moves towards the side, so it compresses the nerve root. So this is the way it compresses the nerve root. So in both way we can relieve. But for disc bulge, the treatment is slightly different. Although for nerve root we can treat it like this, and also for the disc bulge. But once you treat specifically for the disc bulge, what we have to do is we have to put the similar way, like the nerve roots needles we have put, similar way we have to put, but in the area of the disc, so here also we have to put two needles in the intervertebral space. In the intervertebral space also we have to put two needles. So here are the two needles. One is this, one is this. Okay. These two needles we have to put along with the nerve roots one. That means along with the sides. Okay. So these are for the nerve root. On both sides we have to put, and the center one also. This is extra. This is according to the center one is according to the nerve dermatome. Like patient is saying he or she has the pain around the S1 area, S1 dermatome, right? Then we'll put in the L5S1. Okay. Then we have to put needle in the L5S1. And now if the patient says he has a pain around the L4, L5 dermatome, so we have to select the L4, L5, or if you have a MRI, then also from there you can correlate between the disc bulge and the nerve root pain which the patient is complaining of, the disc bulge, because of disc bulge. So in let us say patient has pain around the L5 dermatome. Okay, so that means there is disc bulge in the L4, L5 level. So what we will do is we'll put two needles around the intervertebral disc space, okay, and two needles on the sides. Two needles on the sides, that is at the paraspinal region. Okay. So now what we will do is, earlier what we are doing is we are stimulating one needle and we are holding other one. Okay? We are like if this is a finger, just a minute. So here it is. Now you can see clearly. So what we have to do is we have to hold this needle, any side, and we have to stimulate the other one with the pen. Okay. Now when we are treating for this is for the normal you can say compression, the nerve root compression or the radiating pen we can use for. Now when we are treating specifically for the disc, right? When we are treating specifically for the disc. So for this we have put two needles in the intervertebral space. So this is the intervertebral space, interspinal space. So we have put two needles here. Now we will hold this needle and stimulate the one which is in which the pain is radiating to. Like patient say she has radiation on the left side. So what we'll do is we'll hold these two needles and we'll stimulate the other one, stimulate the nerve root. Okay. Now question is how to put these two needles, right? Is this clear? Until now?
Can you show once again? Can you show?
Yes, once again.
Dr. Raul. Yes. So the pen we put on the centra or this side.
Nerve root. This will hold only.
The hold. Okay, the pen is side.
Yes, pen is side.
Okay, thank you.
This will hold and pen will side. Okay. Okay. See again. When we have to treat for the nerve root, or you can say relieve the compression of the nerve root compression or the paraspinal region. So this is one finger lateral. So one finger lateral we have put two needles, this and this. So what we will do is we'll hold one needle and we'll stimulate this one. This is okay. We'll hold one needle and we will stimulate the other one. Right?
Sure.
Now when there is a patient of disc bulge.
Please repeat.
Firstly, you have to mark the intervertebral spaces. You have marked all the intervertebral spaces like this. Okay. So these are the intervertebral spaces. C7, C5, C6 intervertebral, C6, C7, C5, C6, C3, C4, all the intervertebral spaces we have marked. Okay. Now after marking, from the spinous process, go one finger lateral. From the spinous process, go one finger lateral. One finger lateral would be this area. From here you see. These are the spinous process. Go one finger lateral. Right? These are the area. So one finger lateral, put needle. One here, one here. Okay. Both sides we have put needle. So one needle we will hold with the finger, another needle we will stimulate. One needle we will hold, another needle we will stimulate.
Sir, needle direction is oblique or PA?
Directions we will cover. Just understand the concept first. Okay. And now for the disc bulge. For the disc bulge in the intervertebral space, we have to put two needles. We have to hold these two needles and we have to stimulate the one which is radiating too. Okay. Or which has more radiation. We'll hold this needle and so we'll hold these two needles and we'll stimulate this one. Okay. First understand the concept. Is this concept clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Clear, sir. Clear.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Rahul, how would we know there's a disc bulge, from MRI or X-ray?
No, you can check with the
We can
clinical
feel?
examination. Clinical examination also. First thing is the clinical examination. Okay, if there is some radiculopathy, or there is, you can say, some radiating pain, so with that there are some clinical tests also in the cervical region, also in the lumbar region also. We will take one class on this, no problem. So with that, with those clinical tests, you can check how to diagnose for the disc bulge, disc problem. And for confirming that, you can advise them the MRI and the X-rays and the MRI. Right? And how
Okay, thank
much,
you. So,
how much the disc bulge is present, or how much the nerve roots are compressed, that we can get through only through the MRIs. Okay? The the spinal canal diameters. So we called it as a spinal canal diameters. How much the disc is compressing the nerve roots or the spinal cord. So that we call it as spinal canal diameter. So according to that, we can take up the case. Right?
So this would be the way we have to needle for most of the cases, or
yes,
is it only for this bulge?
For the like for the nerve root, we usually say that when we are treating the paralysis, also for that also we can use the nerve root stimulation, and that this stimulation is not required. Okay.
Can you repeat, please?
When we were saying for improving the power in the lower limb in case of hemiplegia or any paralysis, right? So for that we need to do three things. One is the nerve root stimulation, one is local stimulation, and third is the brain stimulation, right? So this is the nerve root stimulation that we have to do. Like you are treating the lower limb muscles. So for lower limb muscles, you have to do the nerve root stimulation. So each level at all the lumbar vertebrae, and then you have to treat the local muscle like gluteal and quadriceps, the local stimulation, and then you do the brain stimulation with the brain mapping.
okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. It's clear.
Okay.
So for stimulation, is that for the healthy side or affected side?
Any
Stimulation.
side you can take. Any side you can take.
So Dr. Raul, how about the HNP? Can we use for this treatment for HNP?
What is the full form of HNP?
HNP, nucleus
Herniated
pulposus.
nucleus pulposus.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So this is the way for HNP, right? So in this, no, first understand this concept is clear or not. Then we move forward. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Harman, if you want to translate, please do that.
I already translated the writing.
Okay. So, but still, you give 1 or 2 minutes for a brief view.
Oke, jadi untuk kasus penekanan kompresi disk ada dua kemungkinan. Yang pertama adalah dia akan menekan ke belakang. Ketika menekan ke belakang, dia akan menekan yang namanya spinal cord. Yang kedua, dia menekan ke samping. Menekan ke samping berarti dia menekan ke nerve root. Nah, untuk kasus menekan ke belakang atau spinal cord, jadi kita tusuk 4 jarum. 4 jarum yaitu yang 2 jarum di interspace vertebra, artinya di tengah-tengah. Di tengah-tengah itu kan ada kayak jedokan. Nah, itu seperti yang digambar, ada jedokan, kita tusuk 2 jarum, terus kemudian secara lateral 1 jari dari spinal process ke lateral, itu kita tusuk kiri kanan 2 jarum. Nah, untuk kasus nerve root, kita tidak perlu tusuk yang bagian interspace vertebra. Interspace vertebra ya. Interspace vertebra, kita hanya tusuk yang lateral saja 2 jarum. 1 distimulasi, 1 di hold. Nah, ini untuk nerve root. Sedangkan untuk spinal cord, kita ada 4 jarum, kan ada 4 jarum. Nah, kita stimulasi yang bagian yang, misalnya bagian yang paling nyeri, di bagian kiri, misalnya bagian kiri ada masalah. Kita pennya taruh di jarum lateral yang bagian kiri, terus kita hold yang bagian tengah. Kita hold yang bagian tengah, lalu stimulasi. Over.
Okay. Just give me a
Dr. Rahul,
Yeah.
Could you repeat again the needling in the intervertebral disc space because you were interrupted a while ago
No.
while explaining the
I'm
center
repeating
part?
that. Don't worry. I'm repeating.
Yeah.
So for the paraspinal, we have to go one finger lateral in this space, and we'll hold one needle and we'll stimulate with the pen the other needle, the spinal pen. Okay, this is one. And the second is we have to hold this. Yes. So we'll hold one needle and stimulate with other. Okay, we'll hold one needle, we'll stimulate with other. And for the intervertebral disc, we'll hold these two needles in the intervertebral disc space. In the intervertebral disc space, we'll hold these two needles center and we'll stimulate the nerve root. Okay, is this clear?
Sir, same 30 seconds, sir?
Yeah, no, 20 seconds.
Okay, thank you.
If it is in L3, L4, then we have to insert below the L3 level. Then
yeah, for the disc I'm just telling about it. Now, just see in the dummy. I need the marker. Like in this case, see when you have marked in the patient about the intervertebral space. So this is the intervertebral space, right? This is the intervertebral space that we have marked. Okay, we have to mark the intervertebral space in the body. Now after this,
Yes, sir.
okay, thank you. Please give me the feedback also so that I would know that you are understanding. Now we have to neglect two places in the disc space. One is the upper border, another one is at the lower border. Okay, one is at the upper border and another one is at the lower border. Just give me. I'll take out another needle. Okay. Now just see this. Okay. So when we have marked the intervertebral disc space, we'll mark with the markers, right? So there is one upper border and there is one lower border. There is one upper border, there is one lower border. So one needle is at upper border. Okay, one needle at upper border of disc space and another needle at the lower border of the disc space. Okay, when we mark the disc space, we have to mark with the marker, and then you will have two borders. One is the upper one and one is the lower one. So one needle is at the upper border and another needle is at the lower border of the disc space. Then we have to hold these two together and stimulate the side ones. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Concept now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Tushar.
So that's for the disc bulge.
Thank you, sir.
Area.
Yeah. Now we'll take on few questions. Okay, HNP is herniated nucleus pulposus, right? And there was one question. Yeah, one question was those who do not use the needling. So for them, you can put one finger at the that means at the nerve root area, one finger distance from this. So we'll put one finger here, and with the pen you stimulate the other area, other side. Similarly, simulate it for 20-30 seconds, go up. If you are using for the fingers, if you are using the needles, then 20 seconds are sufficient. Okay, so then again we'll go up. So similar way you can treat it at the different levels. Yes. Yeah, more questions, please.
Yes, sir.
Per finger, how much, sir?
Yeah,
How much, sir?
yeah,
30 seconds, sir?
yeah, 20
30
to
seconds,
30.
sir.
Yeah, 20 to
20
30. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
सर क्या स्टेनोसिस कर सकते हैं? सर्वाइकल स्टेनोसिस.
Yes, you can do, but there should be no myelopathy. In myelopathy, never needle it like this. In case of myelopathy, do not do needling at this way. It is only the brain stimulation you have to use in the myelopathy cases. Right? Myelopathy is contraindication for this case.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
सर इंटरवर्टिब्रल सर
Yes.
इंटरवर्टिब्रल जो नीडलिंग करा है उसको स्टिमुलेट नहीं करना है सर.
उसको होल्ड करना है और जो साइड वाली नीडल होगी उसको स्टिमुलेट करना है.
अच्छा, सेंटर वाले को नहीं करना है.
नहीं.
ओके ओके सर, थैंक यू.
Dr. Rahul? I have a question, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I have a question, sir. Yes.
Yes.
In case of lower limb, my name is Bashir from Nigeria. In case of lower limb paralysis,
Lower limb paralysis. Yeah.
lower limb paralysis,
Yeah.
can we use the same system?
So question is, what is the reason for the lower limb paralysis? So according to that,
Maybe there's a problem with L1, L2.
Please, it was cutting. Your voice was cutting. Please repeat.
Maybe lumbar 1, lumbar 2. I said maybe lumbar 1, lumbar 2. Lumbar 1, lumbar 2 has problem.
Which one?
Lumbar 1 and lumbar 2.
Lumbar 1 and lumbar 2.
Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
you are saying that it may be because of compression.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. In that
Yes.
case, yes. In that case, you can go. You can do these two things: the nerve root stimulation and also the brain stimulation, and also the motor, specifically the local motor muscles for the motor stimulation. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. These three things we have to follow in that. Okay. If it is because of you can say only the wrist valves. If it is you can say some tumor in around the L1, L2 or needle in that area, right? And also this thing also should be taken care of, that if there is tumor around those areas, do not put. Even in the spinal cord, if it there is tumor, do not put the needle around the spine. Yeah. And all the sterile methods and precautionary measures needs to be taken. And tomorrow we'll discuss in which area, what is the approach. That means the direction of needling, how much is the depth, and all other things, and along with your questions, right?
Dr. Rahul,
Yes.
can I ask?
Yes.
Yeah, that's mean for hernia nucleus pulposus, the treatment is the same with the paralysis?
No. It is
Or not the same?
No. It is not necessary. So we need to see the case and we have to plan our treatment. Every case is different. So we need to plan according to our patient. Like since we are now studying the concept, so after we have cleared with the concept, then we take on case by case, or in between the you can say this theoretical and or the practical demonstration, I'll discuss my own case so that you may have an idea how to approach for that particular condition, for that particular case. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rahul.
Okay. Because every case is different, we cannot blindly follow one technique or one path for treating the similar type of problems, right? So every case is different. So firstly, we need to assess that what is the problem, where is the problem, and what is the changes that are occur in the body after that problem. So according to that, we have to plan our treatment, right? So when the patient has the cervical radiculopathy, it is not only that he has the problem in the cervical region only. It could be because of core muscles. It could be because of some pelvic tilts. That is why he or she is getting the pain in the radiculopathy. The moment you relieve the root cause, it will relieve all the symptoms. In that way, we have to work, right?
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
For lumbar disc disease, sir, in case of lumbar disc prolapse, on an average, how many treatments should we be doing, sir? With the
No,
pen?
we cannot say. It totally depends on the case to case. See, this is one technique. We have to use other techniques also, right? This is one technique. Now, if you are treating the case of radiculopathy, this will relieve the symptom. This technique will relieve the symptom. That means the compression.
So the acute symptoms.
Whatever thing. This will relieve the symptoms. Now, for improving the muscle, if you are treating for the lumbar area, you need to work on the core muscles. We have to give the treatment for the core muscles along with this. If you keep only doing this, patient will not completely recover. One day he has pain, other day he has no pain, and another day, third day again he has pain. So this will not recover the patient. We need to recover the patient. For recovering, we need to do along with the main treatment all other accessory treatments also.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
सर मैं कपिल
हाँ जी कपिल
सर एक पेशेंट के बारे में पूछना था एक पेशेंट है सर उसका T9 ट्रेन से कूद गया था उसकी वजह से वहाँ प्रॉब्लम हुई जिसकी वजह से राइट साइड में पेन हो रहा है और वो पेन रेडिएट होके नीचे पसलियों तक आ रहा है सर
ओके
इस कंडीशन में सर
क्या उसका MRI हुआ है
MRI नहीं हुआ है अभी
ओके so it is most likely the radiating pain which is coming from the T9 right
जी सर
so उसके अकॉर्डिंग ये हमारे को जैसे ये नर्व रूट वाला स्टिमुलेशन है ये हम कर सकते हैं ठीक है along with that आप उसको जहाँ पे वो T9 एरिया है
जी
उस पे अगर आप मोक्सा जानते हैं मोक्सा
जी जी
सुना है ना आपने हाँ वो एरिया में मोक्सा
अच्छा सर
ठीक है तो उससे जो है वो जल्दी रिलीफ हो जाएगा
तो सर सेंटर में करना है या साइड से लेटरली
T9 के अराउंड जो आप एरिया बता रहे हैं मेन जो एरिया है कंप्रेशन का उसके अराउंड
जी जी ओके सर
so Kapil has one question okay so Kapil has one question there is one patient of him who has T9 around the pain around the T9 and that is radiating along the ribs so most likely it would be the radiating pain and Kapil उसको जो ribs वाला एरिया है उसको उन ribs वाले एरिया में दबाने से दर्द होता है क्या
नहीं सर सर ये दर्द केवल तब होता है सर जब वो बैठते हैं पहले तब नहीं होगा
और
जब
एकदम
कुछ करें
जैसा भी लगता है चीज जैसा भी लगता है
हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी वो बैठ नहीं पाते बैठने के बाद
so I am confirmed with the Kapil that it is a nerve root pain so how will differentiate between the nerve root pain and the muscular pain or the bony pain so whenever there is compression around the nerve root the nerve pain is usually it is not tender like the Kapil's patient saying that whenever he sits he feels the pain around the rib cage throughout the rib cage he feels the pain around the T9 area right and now I again confirmed it with the Kapil that does he feel pain while Kapil puts pressure on the patient of the T9 area. So Kapil said no. That means there is no muscular pain. If there would have been the muscular injury or some other muscular pain, so with that will you can say aggravate, or you can say that will increase when we press around that area. So when we press around that area, the T9 area, there is no increase in the pain or no change in the pain. So that is why it is the nerve root pain which is coming from the T9. So we have to treat it in this way that we have discussed today, the nerve root stimulation around that area. And also, since he is saying that it is the injury, patient get fall from some height, and because of that he felt with some injury. Yes, and also whenever there is injury, there may be some ligamentous tear also, and there would be some spasm of the muscles around that area also. So to relieve the spasm and to relieve the injury, we are advising to do the moxa at that area. Once they do the moxa, they will help in healing the injured tissue, and also the smile hitting will help in relieving the this warmth hitting will give help in relieving the compression around the nerve root also. ओके कपिल,
ओके सर,
क्लियर। और कपिल एक काम और कर सकते हो आप, जब नर्व रूट स्टिमुलेशन करोगे, जैसे आपने पहले नीडल्स मार्क करी, कहाँ करना है, नर्व रूट्स एरिया मार्क किए, नर्व रूट्स पे नीडल, नर्व रूट्स के अराउंड आपने नीडल डाला, फिर उसको स्टिमुलेट करो और उसके बाद उसी के ऊपर मॉक्सा करवा, तो और बढ़िया रिजल्ट मिल जाएगा।
ओके सर,
ठीक है,
ओके सर, थैंक यू सर।
ओके।
Dr. Rahul,
Yes.
He can do the moxa, after which the nerve root stimulation shall follow.
No, if it is only the injury.
Yeah. So no more stimulation for the nerve root.
No, he
Moxa
can do.
alone?
Yeah, no, he can do both.
Okay.
So in his case we are discussing, right? Not for all cases.
Yeah.
So we are discussing one particular case here, right?
Dr. Rao,
Thank you.
if you don't use moxa, can you use the infrared lamp?
Yes, definitely on needles you can.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Those who are allergic to moxa, they can use infrared lamp around that area. Thank you for the suggestion.
Excuse me, sir. I have a question, sir.
Yes.
I have a female patient
Okay.
who got trauma at the lumbar region, and she said, or through MRI, it is a dislocation of lumbar.
Okay.
One lumbar is suppress other lumbar. Through this process, the nerve is.
How old is the case? How old is the case?
It is about 8 to 10 years.
8 to 10 years back.
Yes.
He had that problem. Okay.
And the condition of the patient, both lower limb is near about paralysis.
Yes.
And
So first thing we should do in that case is work on diaphragm, then work on the abdominal muscles, then take on core muscles, then go for the brain stimulation for the lower limbs. Okay, do it only on the only with the brain stimulation. Do not do needling on the spine in this case. Okay, is this clear, Dr. Khairul? Hello? Hello, Dr. Khairul, are you there? Okay, maybe he lost the connection, no problem. We'll repeat on.
Sir, I just wanted to clarify.
Yes, ma'am.
Work on the diaphragm, core muscles, and brain stimulation. In which case, I couldn't hear what Dr. Khairul said.
Dr. Khairul said that he had a patient who has some lumbar injury, trauma around the lumbar region, and at that time there was a dislocation of L1 over L2, and this is the patient is right now have 7 to 8 year old injury, and after that he developed weakness in bilateral lower limb. Okay, so because of the compression around the core, it is coming. So yeah, Dr. Carol, had you heard the treatment part? Hello.
I get some disconnection.
That is why. Yeah, I'll just repeating it for you. So first thing you have to do the to work on the diaphragm, right? Check the diaphragm, improve the diaphragm. Then work on the core muscles. Then work on the first the diaphragm, then the abdominal muscles, and then the back muscles. All these the core muscles you include. Okay, and these are all done with the brain stimulation. Do not do local or the spine stimulation in this case. Okay. Do not touch the spine.
Okay.
Work only from the brain.
Okay.
Okay. So then after that, when you are sure that some improvement is there, like patient started sitting and some standing could also be possible after this, then you started working on the gluteals, then quadriceps, and then you take on another muscles, abductor, adductor, internal, external rotator, and further on you can take. Right?
Yes.
In that way you can work upon this.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. Sir, in L5 S1 listhesis, can we do this nerve root stimulation, sir?
L4, L5 listhesis. If it is
L5 S1 listhesis.
Okay, so if it is grade 1 and 2, then you can. But see, listhesis, what is the main reason for the listhesis? The main reason for the listhesis is the weakness of the abdominal muscles. So if you work only on the abdominal muscle, those are sufficient.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Do nerve root stimulation only if it is required, right? So our now you have
patient is very much obese.
Yeah, just a second. Now you have variety of options, treatment options available, right? So now you should know which tool have to select in which case and when you have to select which tool. So that is important, right? Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay.
Yeah, you were asking some question?
So actually, patient is very much obese. He's around 120 kgs, and listhesis since listhesis diagnosed 8 years back. Now he's complaining of numbness in the lower limb and pain in the both lower limb when he'll walk more than 100 meters.
Okay. Yes, you can do the nerve root stimulation and also the brain stimulation. Both.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Lahu?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Ling here. This one for very obese patient, I cannot locate some of the spinal process. How to do it?
Yes.
You ask the patient to lie down or to standing?
No, not in standing. Never do these nerve root stimulation.
No, sitting.
Not in sitting. It is only possible either in the sideline or in the prone line.
Sideline, prone line. Personally, I cannot locate where is.
Usually, when we treat the disc bulge cases, they have the radiating pain, so they cannot lie prone. Some patients cannot lie prone for a long time, or like you said that it is an obese patient. So this is the obese patient. So in the obese patient, it is difficult for them to lie on the tummy. So it is always better to take a sideline position. Take the patient in the sideline and then mark the intervertebral disc and the nerve root spaces, and then needle and stimulate and work according to that.
Sometimes difficult to get.
Yeah, but this is a bit a practical thing. So we cannot teach live you how to feel this. So it is about the feeling, right? So what you can do is just try to palpate in each and every case, whether it would be has spine problem or not, but just try to palpate and see the movement of the spine. Then you will have some idea that how is the disc space looks like and how is the normal movement in the spine. Then you will be able to feel the abnormal things in the spine.
Okay. So how long the effect lasts? How often you repeat the procedure?
How often? It depends on the case to case. Like in acute case, we will do it on every alternate day. In chronic, we take on twice a week, once a week, 10 days a week, like.
Oh, but this one also can do injection with normal saline.
Yes, for the if you are a medico, then you can use the SNIT also. But if you have a proper training and certification, do only that.
Which one the effect more effective?
Each one has its own effect. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
कपिल सर सर वो जरा क्लियर करना था, वो सर से पूछा था ना, जैसे बाइसेप फेमोरिस पे पैरेलल लाइन फ्रॉम BL6 टू, कैसे नीडलिंग का सर क्लियर करना था सर?
अच्छा, उसमें हम करेंगे, वैसे आगे जो है उसमें आएगा।
ठीक है सर।
बट फिर भी आपको एग्जांपल के लिए मैं ये बताता हूँ। Like for example, you have to needle from like from here to here, like it is let us say DU22 bladder 6 आपको करना है।
जी सर।
DU22 to bladder 6 करना है, so you have to put needle starting from DU22 and reaching to bladder.
Okay sir. अच्छा सर, laterally.
So it depends on the area, how much length is sir, right? So if you can cover with the 1 or 2 needles, that is okay, and if the area is large, then it may require 2-3 needles.
Okay sir. तो लाइन में ही देना है, जो लाइन जो किया है उसमें लाइन में ही देना है। Okay, सर। तो अगर जैसे एक पे अगर आगे एक और भी दे सकते हैं स्टिमुलेट, अगर एक कोई करना है?
Yes.
Okay sir, thank you sir.
So we were discussing about the vertebras, and this is the C1 vertebra. So as you can see, this is the C1, this is called as the atlas. So here you can see it is a different parts, right? It is somewhat different from the other vertebrae. So in this you can see all the structures are almost same, like the transverse processes, the transverse foramen, vertebral foramen, and it has certain arch. Okay, so there is certain arch because this forms the joint with the axis. So first one is the atlas, this one, that is called as the C1. It forms joint with the axis, so that is the C2. So C2 vertebra is slightly different in shape. I need to find out, if I have I would show you. So in this way, in this you can see that it has a odontoid process. So this is called as the dens, the large projection you are seeing in the center. So it is the odontoid process or the dens, right? So it first one is the axis, atlas, and the second one is the axis. So atlas forms joint with the axis. That means this is the joint between the C1 and the C2. So it has certain different, you can say, anatomy than the other vertebrae. Since it has to compose the, you can say, brainstem. So brainstem is composed around this area. So that is why their structure are according to the for the accommodation of the brainstem. Yeah, Herman, please translate.
Oke, yang pertama-tama kita kan bahas tentang cervical 1. Cervical 1 itu disebut juga dengan atlas, dia berbeda dengan vertebra yang lainnya. Strukturnya memang hampir sama. Kemudian atlas itu lengket dengan bagian aksis dari cervical 2. Cervical 2 ini memiliki bagian yang disebut dengan dens atau odontoid process.
When you say yes and no movement, so this is done by the atlas and axis. Okay, this yes and no movement is done by atlas and axis. So different musculatures are attached. So we have seen few of the muscles, and different ligaments are also there, including the longitudinal ligaments and the ligamentum flemum. Anterior posterior membranes are also attached, the occipital membranes. So that provides the stability. So these are all the structures which are attached around the spine. These are for the stability of the spine. So what happens if the spine is not stable? It will compress the spinal cord, and patient may land up into, if it is at particularly at the C1 C2, then patient may die. This is the very serious condition sometimes. And those and you have heard of those who do suicide. So it is the C1 C2 which breaks. Okay, sir has come. Thank you for today, and thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
sir.
Dr.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Pranam, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Rao.
Pranam, Gurudev.
Thank you, Dr. Rao.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. Salam, sir.
Salam, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome, sir.